Hey, what's up, guys? Markets are taking a brutal hit today. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin first. So right here, we've got a red candle that's essentially just set back all the gains that took place yesterday. In fact, while I'm recording the video, it's slightly below where we started off yesterday. We do have a low point at about $78,500 on the day. And right now, being above $79,000, showing some of it climbing back up. It's still below $80,000. Being above 80,000 is going to be a key psychological point. And we did have a high of $81,600, but it's not just Bitcoin, it's other crypto too. We've got XRP also, for example, it's down 3.16% on the day. And I'll talk more about XRP later on in the video. But looking at Bitcoin itself, it has still held itself above this key Fibonacci zone, this $78,000 level. But as you guys can see, we have several days, 3 days in a row, all trying to essentially touch it. It's very, very close. We do have that bounce that took place back on May 2nd, on May 3rd, and very close on May 4th. So you want to keep an eye on $78,000. If it hits below $78,000, we might have a further crash. And the next major retracement zone would be down at $63,200. That is on the Fibonacci sequence. You do want to still keep in mind that $75,000 is a psychological point. So that would essentially be first. And right about at $75,000 for the daily Bollinger Bands, you guys can see that lower band, it's essentially lined up right with that as well. So I would not be surprised if we see a dip take place right below that Fibonacci zone, potentially bouncing off of $75,000 and then trying to climb back up. But more than anything, things are very rocky right now. And with the new Fed chair that's getting ready to come in, those decision changes could definitely cause ripple effects across the markets. And a lot of people are waiting to see what is going to happen with that new person. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the latest crypto news. Crypto Rover points this out. Absolute bloodbath in U.S. markets. This actually, we're talking about stocks right now. Almost $1 trillion has been wiped out in just 5 minutes after the market opened. So can you guys imagine that? You don't have to imagine it. It literally just happened. But just try to picture how much money that is all within 5 minutes. $1 trillion. Absolutely insane. U.S. stocks post worst open since April 2nd. Now, I was talking about this in a previous video. The thing is that the market has been showing these new all-time highs, all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. Guess what? It can only last for so long, and that bubble pops. And there's so many things that are showing uncertainty with the market right now that having to just continue to go up and up and up and up and up and never come down. Of course, it's going to come down at some point. And the question is, how big is that crash going to be? Well, right now, it's bad, but we're not seeing consecutive days. We're not seeing super massive red candles. It's pretty bad today, though. Up next, $18.52 million bought into XRP ETFs. Total net assets now stand at $1.25 billion. So there's some good news in regards to XRP. From bull theory, sudden crash in the United States market. $1 trillion has been wiped out from US market today. So let's go break this down just a little bit more. So you have the S&P 500. It's down 1.05%. That took out $790 billion from its market cap. NASDAQ down 1.4%, $500 billion from its market cap. Russell is down 1.59%. There's another $68 billion from its market cap. The Kobayashi letter points out our fifth warning. The bond market crisis is intensifying. The U.S. 10-year note yield is now officially above 4.55% for the first time since May of last year, 2025. After weeks of euphoria, the market is beginning to react today. As we have been stating for the last few weeks, the current situation in the bond market is unsustainable. We are now above levels seen when President Trump implemented a 90-day tariff pause in April 2025 due to a collapsing bond market. Furthermore, the market now sees a 60% chance that the Fed's next move is an interest rate hike, which rate cuts entirely priced out. And I want to stress this to you guys again. This is a new Fed chair that's coming in. We expect to see 7% or more for mortgages next, all as auto loan delinquencies have reached 32-year highs. Inflation is back and higher rates are coming. And in the United States of America, the US 30-year Treasury yield, that soars to 5.12%, the highest level since the run-up to the global financial crisis. That's not good. Senator Cynthia Lummis says lawmakers have only about 1% of the Crypto Clarity Act left to work out to win bipartisan support. So, already passed with the House. Moving on over to the Senate. This has possibility of getting pushed through, and we're just waiting to see what those next steps are. But hopefully we get answers real soon, and maybe we see some nice movement going on for crypto. Up next, bull theory. $400 billion wiped out from gold and silver in just 2 hours. Gold is down 1.25%, wiping out $320 billion. Silver is down 3.8%, wiping out $80 billion. NASDAQ 100 futures extend losses to over 1.7%, now on track for the biggest daily decline since March 27th. The market is growing concerned over the rapid surge of the U.S. Treasury yields. And you also see that silver is getting dumped here on the chart. U.S. bond market is screaming a massive warning, while the S&P 500 just hit a fresh record high of 7,501. The bond market is pricing in higher interest rates for longer. So the 30-year yield we're looking at over 5%, 5.085% to be specific. The 20-year is at 5.092%. The 10-year is at 4.538%. Every maturity is rising at the same time. Stocks are at all-time highs because the AI boom is driving earnings and the market is pricing in years of continued growth. Bond yields do not care about AI. They care about a $2 trillion annual deficit, oil at $100, persistent inflation, and a government borrowing more money every single day to fund a war. Both cannot be right, and historically, it is not the bond market that is wrong. Japan's 30-year yield soars above 4% for the first time in U.S. history. For the first time in history. Again, this is over in Japan, not the United States. And Jerome Powell's tenure as Fed chair ends today. So guys, again, really want to stress this out. Keep an eye on what this new Fed chair is deciding to do. A lot of people are thinking that they're going to make some serious changes, and that could cause some major impacts on the market. Okay, now I want to go ahead and dive into what's going on with XRP. So let's take a look at this a little bit closer here. Yesterday was a really nice day for XRP. You can see that that candle went all the way up to about $1.55 before it pulled back and closed out at $1.48. At one point, it did have a low at $1.42 approximately, but guess what? We closed out in the green, looking really good. And then what happened on the new day? Same thing we saw over here with Bitcoin. Everything essentially got wiped out. Now, a key difference is that while we're looking at Bitcoin's price chart, that candle drop is more than what we had for that internal part of the candle yesterday. Now, when we look at XRP, we actually have it as less. So we're technically still in a position where we haven't lost all of the gains that came from yesterday, but that candle did also climb a ton. And what is also noteworthy is just look at the volume here. When we zoom out on this, I was saying how the volume looked like it was on track to having a massive amount. And lo and behold, we were correct. So here on May 14th, we have quite a substantial amount of volume comparable to that of on April 8th. And even so, I would say it's very close to what we were, or pushing close to what we had back on March 27th. That was a red candle, and we have April 8th was a red candle, but lo and behold, this volume increase actually turned out to be a green candle day. And on the new day formation, while we're recording the video, we do have a red candle, but it's not even halfway of the amount of volume of what we had from yesterday. So volume has definitely dropped down substantially. Yes, the price is dropping, but there's not as much overall activity as what we saw on the previous day. Overall, things are still holding themselves quite well. We are still above that median line for the Bollinger Band. You guys can see that the Bollinger Band itself is starting to widen out a little bit more. We saw that pinch very briefly here on the daily back on May 8th, and then just starting to burst out there a tad bit. It's not as tight as what we had here. This was back on April 14th, but I would say it's fairly close. It's pretty close to being that pinch. Just not as tight, I would actually say. About the same distance up and down, but not as tight and dramatic. And so this is a little bit more progressive as it's starting to expand out here. You still want to keep an eye out for support at $1.40. That's that Fibonacci zone. That's that psychological zone. And then here, it didn't manage to break above $1.50, but it got really, actually, did it hit? Yeah, it looks like it basically bounced right at $1.50. So if it can manage to close above $1.50 and hold that for just even a little bit, I think the optimism is definitely going to kick in, and this has a lot of potential to start making that run up back towards the next major zone. I'd say $1.75, then you got $1.83, and then trying to break above $2. But as it is right now, we might be seeing some consolidation take place. It depends again on, I think, realistically what the new Fed chair decides to do. And if they make these announcements and we're seeing Bitcoin drop down more, we see stocks continue to drop down, XRP might have some struggles ahead of itself. We also have to see what's going on with the Clarity Act. If the Clarity Act gets delayed and we have these bad changes from the Fed chair, it's just a formula for disaster. Uh, there's a lot of things that need to change, and hopefully very soon. So that's what I got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I have a referral link for BTCC, this crypto exchange. You can look into it more. I have that down in the description below. There's a lot of really cool things going on with this exchange. And I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you also to everyone that supported me over on Patreon, those of you that have supported me on YouTube. God bless, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.